Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. Wife 11 year, 2 kids 11 and 9. She cheated for 8 months. I knew for the last 3, still working on it. To cut a long tale short, I've been married to my wife for 11 years and have 2 children, ages 11 and 9. I knew she cheated for the past 3 months since she cheated for 8 months. I didn't approach her until I had proof, including video and a strong lawyer's separation agreement in hand. This happened around 9 months ago, and I'm guessing it's referred to as D-Day in this country. I sat around waiting for her to get home from her AP. She had no notion I was aware of anything. She became really frightened the moment she seen me seated at the table, so I invited her to have a seat since we needed to chat. I was really exhausted at this time and didn't care. I had concluded that divorce was the only choice the day I found out. Wife sits down, appearing terrified. "Mrs., you're frightening me. What is the point of this?" Myself, "I'm not here to talk about your adultery. I already know everything. I'm here to help you figure through our divorce and separation." I placed my wedding ring on top of the packet that contained the separation agreement and shoved it in front of her. The woman begins begging, apologizing, and imploring. Everything you'd expect. We're getting nowhere, so I'm just throwing anything she comes up with back in her face. "I adore you." "Me? You've hurt me the worst I've ever been hurt, and you're sleeping with other guys because you love me so much." After a few hours, I advise her to check into a hotel, and that we'll continue tomorrow. I inform her that if she does not sign the separation agreement, I would tell everyone what she has been up to today. I knew I signed under duress, but at the moment, all I wanted was for it to be needed. She eventually signs, she departs, and I get texts and phone calls all night. I sometimes respond in one quick response. Specifically, "I will not read this message or speak with you until tomorrow afternoon." The gravity of the issue became clear to her the following day. She pleads for another chance, MC, etc., and she is willing to go to any length. I told her I'd file on Monday, and that she had 90 days to persuade me that divorce is a bad idea. I'm not sure why I offered it. I was tired. I decided to call it quits, and I simply folded. The following day, I had made a list of things she needed to do. I didn't reveal it to her. Instead, I informed her the list existed and that unless she followed it, we would be NC away from the kids, the divorce would be irreversible, and I would notify everyone of what she had been doing. I also warned her that even perfect compliance was no assurance that we would not divorce, that my faith in her was at nothing at this time, and that I no longer loved her. She destroyed everything we had, and the only reason I contemplated reconciling and starting again was because of our children. I didn't want to say this. Once again, I was unable to carry out my plans. The following were on the list. She had to write a record of everything she had done with him, tell how it began, and what gave her the right to do this to me and her own children. All of my efforts would be futile if she cut corners, rose-colored anything, or omitted anything. She has complete access to all of her social media accounts, phones, computers, wages, and bank statements. She would always tell where she is and what she is doing. Only afterwards MC. I see for her 2-3 times a week till she could grasp her own decisions. She agreed, created the list, and granted me access. Then I informed her about points 5, 6, and 7 in order, only after she completed each assignment. 5. She had to meet with AP wife face-to-face, tell her everything, give over all of the evidence she had, and volunteer to testify in court if necessary. She first declined, claiming she couldn't do that to him. I reminded her that she chose AP sentiments before her own family. This reconciliation effort would be finished if she didn't do this. If she didn't, I was going to notify AP wife. There was no willingness on my part if she would known it. If I had to tell her, there was no way we could ever reconcile. Finally, she consented and told App's wife everything. App's wife slapped, kicked, pulled her hair, and yelled at her. Wife accepted it and did not fight back. I didn't shield her. She had a few and bald areas. After that, in the vehicle, I told her that AP had been seeing another woman in addition to my wife, and I gave her the proof from the private investigator I hired. I'm sorry to admit how much I relished seeing her agony as she realized she was nothing more than a piece of meat to this man. She had to explain herself to the children and the potential consequence for our family. Explain to everyone in our family and friends what she had done. For 3 months, I would have an affair, lie to her face, and sneak around behind her back. form a strong emotional bond with another lady. I wanted her to comprehend what she was asking me to forgive, the humiliation, the suffering. She'd realize that we were taking a chance that I'd fall in love and leave her for my AP. I would tell her the truth at the end of 3 months. Number 7 was very difficult for both of us. I would sneak around and pretend to be cheating. I had Tinder installed and would show her snippets of it now and again. I'd pretend to be surreptitiously texting. I'd go out and stay out all night. I'd go away for the weekends. In actuality, I was seeing no one. I only stayed in hotels, leased cottages, and stayed in Airbnbs. Most of the time, I'd simply get drunk and weep. Wife was becoming more agitated, and I was feeling horrible as well. I despised it. I was hardly able to accomplish it, and I was simply pretending. She did it so effortlessly. This is the most difficult aspect for me. I can't view her in the same light. I wanted to show her what she had asked me to forgive, but instead I discovered what a nasty person it takes to do this to someone else. We're currently in MC, and she's making good progress while I'm not. I think some days are worse than others. For the time being, I'm keeping the divorce papers on hand since, for some reason, I haven't pulled the trigger. I'm not sure whether I understand why. We haven't been intimate or close, but we aren't fighting anymore, so I think that counts as progress. She is really sorry, and I know we still have a long way to go. Who knows where this will lead us? I can't get over how bad I felt while I feigned, but she did it so effortlessly. I simply can't see her in a good light. She strikes me as a monster. I wish I could have terminated it on the first day, but now that I've dragged us both this far, I can't. Is there any way I can stop seeing her like this? I've forgiven everyone else. I simply can't get over this one. After just 7 weeks, I informed her that I hadn't been seeing anybody. I couldn't put up the act any longer. I felt terrible as a result of it. Update. We are well aware that our odds of success are slim, and that it will most likely be several years before we are out of the woods. But we both decided this morning that we are willing to give it a go. Some of what I said and many of the reactions she received just destroyed her. Nonetheless, we were able to have a genuine dialogue, something we both strive for but do not always achieve. To everyone who used absolutes while speaking to me, it's a very different experience to be in the center of something like this than it is to see it from the outside. Nothing is simple or straightforward. Emotions are overpowering, and simply opting to get out of bed in the morning to start a new day is difficult. If I were to attempt to express how difficult it is to think clearly and make excellent decisions, I would say this. Imagine that you are enjoying your life, that you are on top of a mountain, that you can see to the horizon in all directions, and that you have no uncertainties. You have a clear mind and thinking. You understand who you are, what you want, and where you want to go. Then image being off the mountain's peak, thrown in a dark lot coffin, and whirled around so quickly that all your blood flows down to your legs. You're practically passing out, you can't think straight, you're feeling queasy and dizzy, and you want to vomit more than anything. This is the only way I can describe the devastation my brain went through. In such a condition, I'm certain to make some poor decisions. In this condition, I believe everyone will make poor decisions. To some who said we were endangering our children, we disagree. We spoke with our children, and they are glad that we informed them and kept them engaged in our efforts. It's my family too, said my youngest. They believe in us more than we believe in ourselves, and they appreciate that we seek their advice and ideas. We have been extremely clear in informing them that we would not allow it if they pick sides. We've also made it quite obvious that none of this is their fault or duty. They have informed us that they like being engaged and assisting us both collectively and individually. They will provide encouraging words and additional hugs when they believe we are in need. They understand that this may not be fixable, but they have informed us that they would be unhappy if we quit up without giving it our all. The first few months were quite difficult, but now that things have settled down, they are thankful for the opportunity to participate. Some of their pals are in circumstances where their families are dissolving, and they feel like mushrooms, kept in the dark and fed garbage. So our children seem to be better off than we are, and I just hope we don't let them down too badly. To those who thought I was insane and couldn't understand how I could be so tough and abuse my wife while proposing reconciliation. To be clear, I had no intention of contributing anything. On D-Day, I was intended to terminate it as soon as possible. I was still resolved to do so when she returned the following day, offering to do everything and begging me to give her a chance. I couldn't do it at the time. I couldn't abandon her. I felt weak, ashamed of myself, and furious because I wanted her to suffer. But I still loved her deep down. I simply couldn't confess it or stop it. I took some time to think about it, created a list, and stated my requests. I never anticipated her to accede to the most difficult conditions in my wildest thoughts. I didn't expect her to inform the app's wife, nor did I expect her to tell our children, family, or friends, and I certainly didn't expect her to support me in my fake revenge affair. To be honest, I didn't want her to give up, but I also didn't want her to suffer. I was certain that her pain would make me feel better. It didn't work. I couldn't dispute that she was honest, that she wanted to sort things out, that she was sorry for what she had done as she did all I requested. She has done all she can to reconcile, but I must confess that I have not. I've been looking for a cause to give up and go, or to force her to give up and leave. I've been really harsh at times, I've unleashed my rage on her, and I'm a frightening person. She has just accepted it. She makes no attempt to justify herself. I'm not sure I trust her when she says she's never been terrified of me. She assures me that she is aware that I would never physically assault or harm her. I'm not so sure of myself. I've been dangerously near a few times. I pray I never have to. I'm afraid I'll irreparably damage or kill someone if I cross that boundary. To those who inquired about her motivations for doing so, we've come to the conclusion that she felt stuck and imprisoned. Our way of life was to be secure and comfortable. It struck her hard when her closest friend died, and she was susceptible to a snake charmer who understood precisely what kind of nonsense to throw at her. She now feels duped and has a difficult time reconciling her decisions with the person she thought herself to be. We discovered that her AP has a practice of cheating on his wife, with 2-3 women at a time since before they began dating. We also discovered that he had 2 illegitimate sons. In my case, I had not really committed to reconciliation. I am a really tough person who can take and dish it out. I managed to persuade myself that if my wife suffered, I would be okay simply walking away if I could find a good enough excuse to quit up. I was mistaken. I've been looking for excuses not to get close to her again, and I still am. He was deeply hurt. I was afraid of allowing her to get too near and being harmed again. This has prohibited us from making any significant headway toward reconciliation. She has been the only one who has been completely dedicated. Several people have asked me whether I am as adept at dispensing love as I am at dispensing punishment, and the answer is no, but I'm working on it right now. I've forgiven her, but I've kept her at a distance in order to find a cause strong enough to override my love for her and allow me to go. I intend to rectify that and make a serious attempt to reconcile. If we fail, we fail, but I will give it my all from now on, even if it means risking more injury. Many people criticized my wife, while others pointed out that she was just human and made some poor decisions. As things stand now, I am in control of the repercussions of her poor decisions, which is not a position I choose to hold. I've given this a lot of consideration since I, too, make errors, behave erratically, and may be nasty to her at times. Punishing her has practically driven me insane with resentment and rage. I have no control over it at times. She made some poor decisions and lost control, just like I am now doing. We're both simply regular people. I need to work with you to figure out how to get through this. I'm going to get off my high horse and attempt to be 50% of this relationship and 50% of the effort to work things out. What about my wife? The day following D-Day, she realized I was dead serious. There was no place to go, no pardon, nothing. She knew her odds of saving her family were minimal at best, but she was willing to do anything. It's evident today that she never really loved AP. She was more interested in the thrill, the dream. She expressed gratitude for my ironclad, rock-solid attitude. It jolted her out of her affair haze, knocked some sense into her, and refocused her on what was essential. She also thought her punishment was deserved, which encouraged her to stop hating herself so much. She has thanked me profusely for not letting her off the end for persevering. She is punishing herself more severely than I ever did. She has even pondered suicide, although she did not do so at the time because she believed she would get off too easily. I discovered that she had been torturing herself since D-Day, beating herself and pinching herself with pliers. I'm talking about the whole rear of her leg being purple. It's a single, continuous black mark. This is, of course, ineffective. Instead, we have decided to concentrate on her forgiving herself. We will not be able to heal until this occurs. It's odd in a sense. Now that she just wants to punish herself, she has lost all of the characteristics that drew me in the first place. Her sense of humor, grin, well-thought-out ideas, self-esteem, loving patience, and so on. I don't believe it's beneficial for me to redevelop affections for her when her punishing herself inhibits the same qualities I like in her. The reasons I met her and married her in the first place. Overall, owing to all of the nice strangers on the internet, we've made some progress. We still have a long way to go, but we've identified several major roadblocks to overcome. We did, however, sleep in the same bed for the first time since D-Day. So there's something. It was good to be able to sleep close to her again. I still adore her, and I'm ashamed of myself for doing so. But then I remember my children, and that gives me the motivation to keep going. We shall strive to forge a new connection now that the old one has ended. Thank you once again, everyone. Final update. It's been stressful at times, but I'm okay, or should I say we're fine. Things have improved dramatically since I chose to make a concerted attempt to reconcile. We've even rekindled our friendship. My wife, or my former wife, the one I fell in love with, is beginning to appear more often. We go to a lot of counseling, we're becoming better at communicating, and we've begun being intimate on a regular basis. We're still in the early stages, and the odds are stacked against us, but we're making unexpectedly excellent progress. I'm trying to show her how much I appreciate her every day, and she's doing the same. I still experience tremendous emotional agony, and she does as well. But overall, there are more and more pleasant moments than bad. I believe we will be okay. People are kind, and I am optimistic about the future. Thank you to the nice online strangers that assisted me in my hour of need.